I am the Six-Figure Success Mentor, and I have just helped you to 10x your net worth into six figures.
If you are ready to make your dreams come true and live the life you are meant for, you are in the right place. Hi, I'm Lisa Ely, known as the Six-Figure Success Mentor, and I teach dreamers just like you how to raise their mindset and income to manifest six-figure careers and dream lives.
Hey, guess who? It's me. Wow, I can't believe it. We're at the end of our 4-part series. We made it. Cool stuff. It's always interesting how I see things are off. And sometimes I really think that I must have ADHD in a sense, some kind of way. Today, I am so delighted to join you to talk about paycheck protection in our 4th installment of this series. And it is High Earners Do This. And I want you to start now. And if you know me, you already know that I don't give you fluff. I give you real data. So real quick, I'm Lisa Ely, and I get to work with amazing mid-level and senior career professionals who are looking to grow and advance in their careers and their lives and still have joy. That's right, still have joy, because all that's possible. I was up early and late, I will say, working on this and these strategies as well to make sure that this message hit. But I heard this story, and and it's really about 3 frogs. Can I share it with you? If I can share it with you, let me know in the chat. Like, just drop some emojis, some yeses right in the chat. Can I share it with you? So this is the story I wanted to share with you. 3 frogs in a bucket, like a deep, like, let's say they were in a well, right? They were in a well, 3 frogs in a well. And you're probably saying, Lisa, why are you talking to me about frogs when you're supposed to talk to me about paycheck protection? But I want you to hear this story because it's related. This is the thing, 3 frogs jumping in a bucket. And it was difficult. They had people above who could help them, but didn't. And the naysayers above were telling them, don't even bother with trying to get out of the bucket. You'll never do it. It's impossible, right? No one has ever jumped out of this big bucket, ever, never happened. So you may as well just stop and just go ahead and die. They kept jumping, all 3 of the frogs jumping higher and higher and higher. And then they were plotting and trying to figure out how they're going to get out of this bucket. Kept jumping. And then finally someone from above said to them, forget about it. You're going to die trying. Why do that? Save your energy. The first frog heard all the negativity, all the naysayers. You'll never do it. You'll never get out of the bucket. No one's ever done it. What makes you think you'll get out of it? You can't jump that high. You can't jump that long. You can't jump that fast, right? You're too old. You wear glasses, whatever it is, right? You can't do it. So the first frog died from that. The last 2 frogs still jumping. And then the naysayers got louder and louder and louder. That's right. They kept getting louder. They were louder than they were with the first frog. Like, it was numbing. It was too much. They couldn't sleep. They couldn't eat, right? They kept jumping. And then soon that second frog succumbed to all of the naysayers saying, you can't do it. You'll never get out of the bucket. Just stop now and die and be with your friend. And so the second frog died too, trying to get out of the bucket. Then the third frog, it got 10 times worse. And then more people came to tell the frog that he could not get out of the bucket. It was impossible. Give up and die like your two friends. But for some reason, this frog just kept jumping and jumping and went higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and kept going higher and higher and higher. But they kept on with the rhetoric. You can't do it. Your mom didn't do it. Your friends didn't do it. Your dad didn't do it. Nobody from your community has ever done it. You'll never do it. Just give up now and die with your friends, and you'll be better off. But for some reason, this little frog would not stop jumping. So you know what happened? The frog got out of the bucket and jumped out of the bucket. Everybody was shocked, even the frog. And then everyone asked the frog, how did you do it? How did you not succumb to the naysayers, not listen to them like your two friends that died? How did you do it? And the frog did not respond. So they asked him again, how did you do it? What did you do? What was your mental fortitude? They realized that the frog was deaf, and he never heard any of the naysayers. And I say this to you today because this is how important paycheck protection is. There are going to be naysayers that say you cannot protect your paycheck. You can't grow. You can't have joy. You can't have peace in your career and in your life, and maybe even in your business. It will never happen. No one from your community, no one from your college, no one that lives in that zip code, no one that drives that car, no one with your background has ever done it. But sometimes you got to get to a place where you just put that on deaf ears because you know something that they don't know. You can do anything. You can do anything that you put your mind to if you just focus, right? And if you have the support that you need in a community, a framework, a system, tools, processes. And that's what this whole month of content, of training has been about, right? This is worth saving. It is worth saving. And so as we open up today, I want to give you 5 things that you can do, actionable things that you can do. But this is what I want you to know. I want you to get out a pen and paper, a notebook, whatever it is that you use to take notes, because these 5 things, you will need to write them down. And I want to hear from you. And go back if you haven't looked at the other 3 parts of this series of paycheck protection. This is golden advice. Literally, this is setting you up. In December, I have set you up for success for the coming year. And you could look at this anytime. Maybe right now is not the right time for you, but I'm going to tell you, save it, put a pin in it. If you know someone who's been struggling as a mid-year, a mid-level career professional or executive, and they just been spinning their wheels. Maybe they're a frog jumping in the bucket trying to get out, and they can't figure it out. But today, I've got the solution for you to figure it out. So buckle up, take notes, and let's get to it. So here are my 5 strategies. I'm not holding back anything. This is, let's just say that this is a freebie because I want to impact 100,000 mid-level career professionals before I hang my hat up. 100,000. That's right. 100,000. Because there's something about that six figures that really has made an impact in my personal life. And I want to be able to impact the lives of 100,000 mid-level career professionals. And I pray and hope that you're one of them. Let's dig in. So today we're talking about what high earners already do that you need to start doing now, right? Like not waiting. And so I know we're at the time where we start thinking about our vision boards. We're at the time of the year where we start thinking about New Year's resolutions, goals, right? All of that, like whatever you want to call it. It could be a bucket list, vision, mission, purpose for yourself, whatever you want to call it. Like I love all of those things. So you call this what you want to call it, but I want you to get it done. That's what I really want you to say, that this is my to done list, not to do, that this is done. You wrote it down and it's going to get done. Right. And of course, I'm going to tell you, I want to extend something to you that's so valuable that will really help you to ensure that you're able to get it done. Right. Able to get it done. So let's dig in. So high earners, one of the things that they don't leave is they don't leave their career to chance. So, right, we're not getting into the steps yet, but they don't leave it to chance, right? They plan for it. They hold space for it. It's important to them. It is not an afterthought. I'm not saying it's the most important thing because I believe it's God, family, and then career, business, what else, right? God, family, career, business, right? Whatever is on your list. But they don't leave it to chance, right? They're not waiting for their boss. They're not waiting for someone else to decide for them what's important and what they need to do and what they need to focus on. They actively take steps to protect their paycheck. That's right. They're in active, consistent motion. Think about it this way. I'm a huge sports fan. Football, basketball, mostly, a little bit of baseball, right? A little tiny bit of hockey. But let me say this. Think about those athletes, especially now, who make a conscientious effort and investment, right, in their ability to perform on the basketball court or on the football field, right? So they're concerned about what they're eating. They're concerned about their conditioning. They're concerned about how they can heal and repair their body. If you think about someone, and I'm going to mention LeBron James, he's from Northeast Ohio, right? Akron. I'm from Cleveland originally. And it is said that he invests more than $1 million to maintain his level as an athlete. He's a professional athlete. So if you're a professional in your career, right, you should not be haphazard about investing and placing importance on your career. And that's what this series is really about, right? It's helping you to put in focus the things related to your paycheck, because for you, that is related to your career. And so if you're not making those investments, then what do you think is going to happen? Your paycheck is going to be in jeopardy. And so high earners already know that they need to take intentional actions to invest in maintaining and growing and protecting their career, which ultimately protects your paycheck. So those decisions that you made impact that. They ensure that they grow. They ensure that they maintain job security. I will tell you, at a time in my career when Bill Clinton was president, and they were talking about tariffs then, like we're hearing tariffs now. And I remember looking, I'm going to say, reading the tea leaves the newspaper, the news. And I understood that as a result of what the policies and practices were at the time, that there were going to be tariffs placed or removed at the time from steel, which meant the company I worked for at the time, LTV Steel, they're not even in existence anymore, was going to have a hard time competing in the marketplace. And I saw the writing on the wall. And guess what I did? I started updating my resume and applying for jobs and considering what else I could do, because I felt like my position was no longer secure, not because I wasn't valued or adding value, but because the company and the marketplace for the company wasn't safe, right? And so think about your industry, the marketplace for your industry, and if there's tariffs or not, or competition or not, or what have you, the marketplace, how does that impact you? So maintaining job security is understanding all that. And we live in an ever-changing landscape and environment, and there are many more things to consider now than there were then. And so here are the 5 key strategies. So get ready with your notes that I want to share with you today. So the first one, let's call it diversify or upskill your skills. Now, according to a study by LinkedIn, 74% of professionals believe continuous learning is essential for their career success. That's right, continuous learning. Think about it. If you stop learning and growing your knowledge in your field, whatever that might be, maybe you're an engineer, maybe you're in HR, maybe you're in IT. Oh my God, like you can't stop even for a year in IT. Maybe you're in the medical field, right? Maybe you're in the service industry. And so that is evolving. In fact, my husband and I had brunch today, and we went to a restaurant that has an AI generated, it's like powered some kind of way, robot that delivers your food to the table. Not every table, but there's 1 or 2 of them in the restaurant, and it knows what table to go to. It's been programmed, all of that. So think about it, right? In a restaurant, they have a AI computer robot that they have programmed to deliver the food, which means that the way they operated 5 years ago, a year ago, even definitely 10, is not the same. So they're constantly up leveling their skills. So think about that for you. What has changed? So learning leadership skills, data analysis, generative AI, mastering emerging technologies like generative AI can help you to stay ahead. What types of certifications or credentials do new graduates, or if they were to post a job or you were to look for a job in your field today, what is different? When was the last time you even did that? So making sure that your skills are up leveled so that if or when you need or decide that you are ready. And this isn't about getting ready. Can I say it? Can I say it? You know what I'm going to say? It's about being ready. That's right. It's about being ready. So first is diversify your skills, up level your skills. Number 2, right? We're on our way to 5. This is number 2. Build and leverage network. I'm going to tell you, I know I'm not preaching to the choir. If you've been watching me for any period of time, you're going to hear much more about this in the coming year. And you have to build the network, nurture it, maintain it to be able to leverage it. But if you don't have a network at all, when is the best time to start? Well, the first best time to start was probably like a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But the second best time to start is today, right? Because tomorrow's too late. it's today. And so networking is a critical skill that high earners are already utilizing. In fact, that's why you see them going to things. That's why you see them going to lunch with people, checking in, right? That's why people send Christmas cards, or holiday cards or whatever, birthday cards, and they're checking in, right? They're holding space for that network to leverage it and build it and nurture it. So, a study from Harvard Business Review reveals that 85% of job opportunities, 85%, that's like up from the all-time high a few years ago of 77 to 79%. It is 85% of job opportunities, all job opportunities are filled through networking. So if you're not networking, you're not leveraging a network, you don't have a network to nurture or nourish, then you need to get started, right? You need to get started. And so this is what high earners already know. They don't just network for the sake of it to say, oh, I was networking. This is a business expense. Oh, I'm networking. No, they're looking to build meaningful connections and relationships. And not just that they can tap into for themselves, but because they recognize the importance also of giving back. That's right. So it's not just about taking, it's also about giving. And so these relationships open doors for you, for people you know, and also, right, it helps you to hold the door open to bring someone else along for new roles and collaborations, right? And so I just got a note really um, uh, from someone that I am nurturing and nourishing the relationship. And it just like hit me like a ton of bricks. And we went out, we had a meal, we had coffee, and we're connecting and collaborating on a bunch of things next year. And I'm just excited. Not just because we're collaborating, but because of the connection and the power of it. And I'm consistently and constantly really trying to figure out and hone for the people in my network how I can open doors for them, hold doors open, speak their names in rooms that they're not even present, and beyond, right? So, number one, diversify your skills, up-level your skills. Number two, build and leverage powerful networks. That means nurture and nourish them. And then number three, we're over halfway there. Can you believe it? Like we're moving along. And so you want to negotiate strategically. That's right. Negotiation skills is one of those things that is so critically important. I can recall a time personally where a business colleague of mine referred their client to me to assist them with negotiating their salary. And they were having some difficulty doing it because they didn't have the words. And so this client, new client for me, made I'm going to say a really small investment, right, at the time, because I really didn't understand the power of the type of coaching and influence that I have and knowledge. But it was so worth it, right? Like for me it was worth it because I get to share the story. And so it came down to they really wanted the position. She also knew that they really wanted her for the position, but she also knew that what they were offering was really, really, really low. And what that happens when you accept a position that you're paid under the market value, well, you're missing out on what's possible. You're leaving money on the table, and you can become resentful. And you may even feel like you need to move on sooner than you really should, where you haven't really achieved some milestone goals to really justify moving on. And that resentment shows up in different ways, right? It shows up for you and how you operate, and it also potentially shows up and how you're valued or devalued on the job, right? And so negotiating at every level is so important. So high earners are consistently, one, they're tracking their value, the impact and the difference that they're making. And they're consistently and constantly renegotiating their salaries and benefits and perks and other things, right? Even before they feel comfortable doing it. And so Glassdoor reports that employees who negotiate can earn up to $5, $10, even $15,000 more annually on average. But the client that I worked with, based on my ability to help her, she was able to negotiate an additional $25,000 to hit her bottom line. Some of it was in a bonus, and some of it was in base salary. And she also negotiated more paid time off, which is also another perk, right? And so think about that. Let's just use the example of $5,000, right? So $5,000 over 5 years multiplied by time value of money, right? It just compounds, because that initial $5,000, then when you get a raise of 3 to 5%, it's more because of that initial 5,000. But if you never negotiate anything at all and you just accept whatever they give, right? That's not what high earners do. And so I want you to think about the next time you have an opportunity that you make sure you're negotiating your promotion, you're negotiating your salary, you're negotiating your increase, you're negotiating everything, right? Because that's how important it is. Not just that, but high earners also track their value through measurable accomplishments. So what it means is that this is the best case scenario. Every month, spend 10 or 15 minutes just capturing what you accomplished, what you did, what the impact and the difference was. And we know we need to have numbers. So if that's possible, you need the hard, fast numbers. They also connect that to the market trends, and they ask for, without even thinking about it, what they're worth. But the thing about asking for what you're worth, you got to understand your value, right? So to negotiate strategically, you've got to know your value, measure your accomplishments versus the market trends, and you've got to ask for what you're worth, right? And you've got to put it in a nice, pretty package. So again, 1, 2, 3. Diversify your skills, up-level your skills, build and leverage powerful networks, nurture and nourish them, and negotiate strategically. Everything is negotiable, right? Everything. So let's keep going, man. We got more stuff here, right? We got lots of things to share with you, because at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you the most important value that I can offer you right now is paycheck protection. It's peace of mind. It's security. It's knowing that you have a plan in place for yourself, and that none of this is an afterthought, right? None of this is an afterthought, because you're actively engaged. You're actively engaged in making it happen, right? You're actively engaged in making it happen. So I also want to talk about, I got two more things to cover from this standpoint. And so number 4 is stay visible and valuable, right? And so we operate, in some cases, many people continue to operate in 100% virtual world, or a hybrid world. And so if you are 100% virtual, that is fine. This can be applicable to you, or if you're 100% in person, right? But you want to maintain a strong, professional, personal brand inside of the organization, right? You never want to be an afterthought. I remember I was in the military, and I remember, I literally remember what people thought about me, right? But also not just that, but I also recall that how important it was when people would say, don't volunteer, right? And so I'm not a believer of that. I believe that we do volunteer, because volunteering opens up doors of opportunities for you that might not ever open. And so if I can, I'm going to give you a quick story. Let me share like a story. This is personal. And so I just shared with you that I worked at LTV Steel, right? And so while I was working there, I saw an opportunity. I always wanted to learn more, right? Because knowledge is power, right? So the more you know, the more you can grow. And the more you can grow, the more you can earn. And the more value add, the more impact, the more you're worth, right? Like I made the connection really early. So I volunteered. I volunteered for a program at the time to be a designer developer, deliverer of some training. And so that training ultimately was for the entire organization, and they were upgrading their systems to a new CRM, right? This was before 1999. If y'all know anything about the 99 to 2000, man, that was some stuff right there, right? And so what ultimately happened was I went into my boss's office, and I'm going to say his name. He could, if you know him, tag him in this. His name is Jack Gilbride. And I went into his office and I volunteered. I rose my hand and I said, I want to be on the project, right? And I didn't know what he was going to say, right? I didn't even know if it was even possible. And he said, okay, bet, let's make it happen. And I got to learn a new technology. I got to learn a whole new, how can I say, a whole new skill set, right? It opened up so many doors. In fact, me volunteering then is part of the catalyst that got me here today, right? To this place, if you can believe it or not. But that raising my hand and having the courage to go into his office and say, I want in, and him recognizing my value and my worth was life altering. And so think about that. When you're working through being visible and valuable. And so a survey by Career Builder shows that 70% of employers use social media to screen candidates, right? And so this is a positive thing, right? Because this is your personal and professional brand, but you also need to preserve it. What do you comment on? What do you share, right? As well. And so think about that. So I'll share this with you. At a time that really led to me creating the framework that is the basis for what we do here at Dream Careers by Design by Lisa, is based on the fact that I lost my job the second time in less than 2 years. And I was able to take that, right, develop a framework, which is the basis for what we teach now, our dream: declutter, reignite, evaluate, activate, and master, right? And parlay that in less than 4 weeks to butt in seat a new position, earning more than I ever had before, like mid-level 6 figures in 4 weeks. After only being here in the DMV for 11 months. So what I'm saying to you is you need to make sure that your social media is good, but that it also showcases you professionally and personally. Because high earners know this. They ensure that their LinkedIn profiles, their resumes, and other platforms reflect their expertise and accomplishments. That's right. And nothing else. I will tell you this. In fact, it's part of many organizations' background checks to run a social media check. Like, just check your name. You can do it. You can set up an alert on Google for your name to see what comes up. In fact, I looked up something recently that probably shouldn't be there for um, individuals, right? Like, I was looking for a particular thing and then something else came up. And so if you're not checking your name, like Googling yourself, right? Google yourself. But make sure that your LinkedIn profile and your resume and your other platforms reflect your personal and professional brand and how you want to be known, viewed, right? For your expertise and your accomplishments. It's critically important, right? It is critically, I mean, critically important from that standpoint. So, yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. So we're wrapping this up like really, really quick. I can't believe it, but I'm not done yet. I got a little bit more I want to share. But before I do that, like I want to share something with you. I want you to know this one thing before we do the fifth thing is that this whole series is about paycheck protection. And I want you to secure your future. I want you to have peace of mind. I want you to be able to, no matter what the situation is in the marketplace, with your organization, with your job, with your position, that you're at peace because you're not getting ready. You're ready. You're already ready. And in fact, you might just check your readiness and apply for some jobs and just see what happens. If you haven't gotten a raise in over a year or 2 or 3, don't tell me 4 or 5, right? Then maybe it's time for you to do what LeBron James does and make a conscientious investment in yourself to get the help to close that gap, right? Because he's not leaving it by chance. Like, he's not saying like, well, I read all the books and I used, when I was when I was a rookie, I used to work with a trainer and I used to do this and I used to do that. And they got all that stuff, he's at the LA Lakers. No, he's not leaving it to chance. He's hiring the best of the best himself. And that's what you need to do, right? Don't leave it to chance, right? Don't leave it up to your boss to determine what your worth is. You need to negotiate that. You need to make sure that they understand your worth and your value. You need to make sure that you're visible, that you understand how to negotiate. You need to make sure that you're building, nurturing, and leveraging a powerful network and that you're intentionally doing it. And you need to make sure that you're uploading your skills and diversifying your skills into other areas, right? Do the Amazon deal. So Amazon didn't used to have trucks. Now they have trucks. Amazon didn't used to have Prime Video, and now they're making unique content. In fact, now Amazon and Prime is actually showcasing live sporting events, and they're figuring it out. They are diversifying, and that's what you need to do too, right? And so I say all that to say this is that paycheck protection in this blueprint that I've created for high earners, based on what high earners are already doing, based on what we know is already working. We've already worked with thousands. That's right, thousands. Several thousands of individuals have went through all of this program or part of it to receive success. And what I don't believe in is I don't believe in offering you things that you don't necessarily need. But I know the basics that you need in order to make it work. And so this is what I want you to know. I want you to know that Paycheck Protection Blueprint membership is open for beta right now. And I can't even tell you, it literally is over a $2,000 savings, right? From what the investment would normally be. But I believe that there are 100,000 people that need this information, and I want to give it to them. So this is the actual, link here. I'm going to link it in the chat as well. You can also DM me if you want it, right? You can also DM me if you want it. But I want you to know that this is critically important, right? It is critically important. So let's get on to that final and fifth step. So the fifth thing that you need to do is you need to prepare for economic shift. And so much like what I shared with you, what I did, I read the tea leaves about the tariffs and how those tariffs were going to impact the industry that I was working in. And I decided that I was going to stay visible, become visible, and increase my value, right? And so what I did was I updated my LinkedIn profile. I updated my resume. I tapped into my network, started nurturing the network, and I landed a new opportunity. In fact, I landed a new opportunity before I needed to. And afterwards, what I was determined was that I was being offered a place to stay, but that place to stay did not come with the perks on where I went. And literally, I will tell you, for the first time in my career, I doubled my salary because I was visible, I increased my value, and I knew my worth, right? And I was out. And so I wasn't in the fray, right, of all the things that happened. And so the last thing I want to say is this, is that the fifth and final thing is prepare for economic shift. So financial resiliency is a safety net. And so I talked about this in some of the sessions before, is that you need to think about having, for sure, at least $1,000 and then at least 1 month of savings for expenses, and then get that up to 3 months and then 6 months later, right? That's like the ultimate. McKinsey research shows that high earners often have emergency funds and multiple income streams. So that could be property or other things. And we're not really talking a whole lot about that, but it is part of your safety net in preparing for economic shift. They think long term to stay prepared for shifts in the market, right? So an example, during the pandemic, many who had side hustles or investments in place weathered the storm far better than others, or multiple incomes, right? And so think about that. Warren Buffett used to talk about 7, right? 7, but it is 10 streams of income now, 10. And so we're primarily talking about your career, which is your number one. But if something happens to that number one, what would you do? Right? So that's what this is also about as well. So preparing this other pieces helps you to be in a better place. So you want to set a financial goal to save, the first $1,000, then the month, then 3 months of expenses, and explore ways to diversify your income, right? And so one of the things that I also do to diversify my income is we own property. And so that is one stream of income. The second stream of income is I am also an adjunct professor. That's number 2. The third or fourth stream of income, I would say, is an online store. So I have 2 online stores that really just run on on their own. I'm also an author and a speaker, right? From that standpoint, I'm thinking about doing something else that I'm not ready to share yet. But at the end of the day, I love what I do, but I also need to protect the paycheck, right? And these are what high earners know. So let's do a quick recap. So you want to diversify your skills, right? The 5 things you want to do. That means up-level your skills and make sure that let's use Amazon as the example, is that you can do those things if you needed to apply for a job today, might be slightly different than if you apply for a job, the same job 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? The skills are different. So you want to make sure your skills are current. You want to build and leverage your network and nurture that network so that it's a two-way street. You want to build your negotiation skills, but also understand your worth and your value in that. You want to stay visible and valuable and understand what that means. That means sometimes volunteering, right? Sometimes going above and beyond in different ways. Sometimes helping out a colleague and doing some extra, right? Like some extra. And then the 5th and final thing we just talked about, you want to prepare for an economic shift. And this is all about watching the tea leaves, like we talked about before, for me, and looking at the tariffs and how that was going to affect the market that my company was in. And I was right. And so I left the organization, right? So this is what I want you to know. Now that you've learned the secrets of what high earners do to protect their paycheck, it's time for you to take the best next step. Imagine having a clear plan to implement these strategies. Access the tools and personalized coaching to ensure you're ahead of your career. That's why I'm inviting you to this beta program of Paycheck Protection Blueprint membership. I can't publicly even tell you. There is a payment plan should you need it. You click on the link for the payment plan. If you don't see it, email us, happy to assist. It's a community. You'll get instant access to the community. And beginning the first week in January, the first full week in January, we'll begin to have open office hours, Q&A, and we'll do an official kickoff. And all of that will be recorded so you can pick up at any time. And so visit the website below, because you do not want to be caught short in the coming year, because I believe that you're going to need ultimate paycheck protection. And why not tap into what high earners are already doing and you can start doing now? So I've saved space just for 20 people. And I already today, I did a preview to my email list and I had 8 people sign up. So that leaves 12 spots. That's right, 12 spots. And so I want you to be one of them and be one of the 100,000 mid-level and executive career level professionals who are doing exactly what high earners are already doing. They're growing, they're adding value, they're up-leveling their skills, they're building and leveraging their networks, they're negotiating strategically, and they're preparing. They have prepared for economic shifts in the marketplace. I'll see you inside. I'm Lisa Ely, and I am delighted to be your career coach for the coming year. Take care. I'll see you inside. Bye for now.